So today, Amber is going to be taking over this podcast. It's
Mm.
going to be a welcome reprieve when for you and I. Did you bring your cookies?
I got cookies.
Yeah, all right. I was going to get cookies, but then I ate way too many cookies last night and I felt a little bit crummy. Get it? See what I did there? And and I decided not to eat cookies today. But I'll probably have cookies tonight just because I usually have cookies at night. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm going to be stonewalling Amber today. I will not be participating at all. I will not support her in any way
Okay. But
because the transcript shows me saying heh, 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 over and over. I don't know
That
how I
brought me
feel about that.
so much joy.
Should the written transcripts ever be released from this podcast, I don't want to be marked in that way. I refuse.
yeah, we're
So
going to need
I'm
to
going.
edit those transcripts.
Yeah, I'm
It was
devolving in.
just so many. And it was more than what I screenshotted too.
You know what I like to do here, and you guys don't appreciate it, but I like to bring the joy here to the
Yes.
podcast.
Yeah.
I see how you treat me now, so I am devolving into stoicism from here on out.
Good.
Oh
I can
no.
give a shit what goes on here.
Well, let's get into the topic. Today's topic is how to add value without spending additional money. And this is a topic that Amber is kind of the queen at. But you said that a lot of this comes from Marty Neumeyer's website. Is that right? I don't
Yeah,
know who that
so
is.
he wrote the brand gap and the brand flip. And so
Okay.
not so like some of these are listed as ways to add like intangible value.
Got it.
And then some are spun a little bit, or some that I kind of like have top of mind for me
Okay.
and students and stuff.
So
So
what we're gonna do, so that's fine. Marty Neumeyer
yeah.
is the dude. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna kind of flip the script on Amber a little bit, and I'm going to read out the kind of the headline, and then Amber's gonna riff on it, and then we'll go ahead and add anything if we have anything to add. But really, this is like Amber's forte. So, am I just going in order, Amber? Is that
Sure.
what you want me to?
Yeah, there's no.
So the first way, I think there's like 26 of them, so we'll get through them pretty quick. And I want to say in advance, right? If you're listening to this, don't think that you have to do all of these. Don't think that you have to do any of these.
Right.
The key when you're listening to this episode of the podcast is going to be see if you could pick out like a nugget or two where you're like, oh shit, that's something that I can implement today to add more value to my customers or followers or whatever. That's going to have a big benefit. Don't feel like you need to do all of it. So, numero uno. Ways to add value without spending money. Do what you say you're going to do. Tell me about that, Amber.
So I feel like that seems super obvious, but I find that most businesses that are ran by, like small businesses are really struggle to follow through on what they say that they're going to do. One kind of case in point for me is I was looking for someone to help with keeping up the house. And I don't know how many companies I called, small, big, whatever. And they'd say, okay, well, let me, I'm in the middle of something. Let me call you back,
Right.
tonight or tomorrow. And they never do. Instantly disqualified.
Yep.
But the one company that did call me back, they're more expensive, but it's worth it because they followed through on what they said they were going to do. So it built trust. So I have no problem doing that. And then every time that there's a change on their end, they communicate that to me very clearly. And so just setting that expectation that I can trust them because they do follow through. So it's worth paying the extra for.
I had a similar experience with grass cutting last week. We were having a party and basically I just was a bad homeowner and let our grass get way too long and I couldn't cut it with our mower because it was just too long. So we needed to get a company with a more powerful mower to come in. Stupid John story. But I called this company and they said that they would do it. I had to call them back 3 separate times and finally I just gave up. I was like, this is your business. Like, how does this, I mean, what am I missing here? Like, I would like to give you money in exchange for the services that you advertise, and yet you're making it difficult. Like, I shouldn't have to be chasing after you. Well, before we move on to the next, what was the one example that we spoke about in our private group? We won't name any company names, but we just did a price raise for the Online Trainer Academy. So we just raised the price for it. And I gave a deadline and I sent a bunch of emails and there was a bunch of communications like up to a month in advance. I was just like, look, I don't want you to be caught off guard. The price is going up at this day, right? At this time, the price is going up. So if you're interested in this thing, I suggest you get it before that price goes up. You don't have to. You can pay me more later, but like you probably won't want to. And then somebody messaged you the day after, I think, right?
Well, it
Ending.
was like 6 hours before the deadline, asking all of these questions.
Mm.
And I even told him, like, look, you're based in this other country. At your time, this is when it ends. So I
Right.
even warned this person in their time zone. And we
And then
said
he
no.
didn't get it, and then he
Mm-hmm.
asked the next day whether
Yep.
we'd extend the price, and we said no.
Mm-mm.
Because the minute that you go back on your word and you don't say what you're going to do, you will trust. There's another company that I sent you guys an email of
Mm-hmm.
that they discounted the thing that they sell. And then I got another email from them that said, we're extending the discount another 2 days. So
Mm-hmm.
many of you messaged us saying that you didn't get in on time. And meanwhile, I'm reading this as a business owner and I'm like, that business is fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is a business that is painted into a corner, that is not making the sales they need to do, that are doing things. It's like they're getting like super drunk. They're basically just trying to have all their fun today at the expense of tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Because now nobody ever is going to trust whenever they say anything ever again.
Well, it sets a bad example too, because now all of these people that are using that, they're using that as a framework. We all,
Yeah.
watch other businesses and take pieces of things that we see to incorporate. And that's just a terrible precedent, isn't it?
I think if you're going to be in this game for a long time, you have your word, your reputation is the most valuable asset that you have, and that might mean giving up sales. I mean, this guy from, I think he said he's from the UK or something like that. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't buy, like he didn't buy from us.
No, he would have
And
asked for a refund at the end of it, no question, based on that conversation and the fact that he was that kind of nitpicky about it. He would have looked at it, kind of maybe did something, and then asked for a
maybe,
refund anyway.
maybe,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe, but either way, we don't even get to that point
Mm-mm. Nope.
because it was a better business decision for us to not make that sale because he didn't get in the allotted time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I say that there's a deadline, there's a deadline. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Or I'm just not going to say that I'm going to do something. Okay, number 2. By being very clear is number 2. So this is the second way to add value without spending money, and it's in bold. It's by being very clear.
Yep. So when we ask students to create their USP, and Ren can back me up here, it is very difficult to get coaches to get uncomfortably niche, but that's what's going to get them the best clients and the most money. It's a difference between going to a doctor, right? If you go to a generalist, that fetches a certain price versus if I have a shoulder injury, like I want a person that specializes in the shoulder, right? And I'm going to pay more for it because of that reason, right? So the more clear you can be and the better you can communicate very specifically who you help and what you help them achieve in their language, the more likely you are going to be able to fetch a higher price for your services.
And there's more value in that to the customer as well.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're providing the same service, if you needed a hernia surgery, let's say, because you did CrossFit and you jacked your hip up or whatever, if you needed a hernia surgery, right,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a you have an inguinal hernia, where would you want to go to a general surgeon, or would you want to go to a hernia specialist surgeon? They're both going to perform a hernia surgery on you. Odds are they're both going to be perfectly fine. But what would you put more value into? It would be the hernia specialist.
Mm-hmm.
May I
And
interject here?
you wouldn't know what that means. Like, I don't know what that means.
Uh,
Yes, you
Yeah.
may.
Quickly. You're reducing, because we just did a podcast where you talked about decision fatigue. You're reducing the amount of decisions that the potential client has to make if you can be clear on who you serve exactly. They're not intelligent enough about what you do to figure it out. So spelling it out to them makes it much easier for them to select you. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about what you are or are not capable of as a coach. It's about how simple you can make the decision for the potential client.
Yep. I was having a shout out to Ashley Rogers, who is a coach as well, and me and her were
Hey,
chatting about this
Ashley.
earlier today. I know she's the best, and she's so creative. And so me and her will, like, if we see like an ad for like really specific coaching, because she knows I really harp on that. And so I had joked with her, like, I really want someone to create something around like astrological signs. Like, I think that'd be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so she created one. And so just as like a fun example, um, so the business is called Astrological, but ASS, Astrological
Nice.
Coaching.
Okay, I
I
like
help
it.
Geminis with decision fatigue build their glutes so they can get back to being their sassy social selves.
Love it.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
See, I don't,
And as
and
a
here's
Gemini, it totally works.
right. So here's the thing: I don't even really understand that,
Right.
but
Right.
that's kind of the point, isn't it?
Yes.
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 Is that it's not for me in any way, shape, or form. Here's what I think we should do with this, Amber. We're not going to get through this in one episode.
No.
I say we do a part 1 and 2 in this.
Sure.
Because I think it's a good topic. So, okay, next one. Give them clarity.
Yep. So it's really easy when building a business, when you're kind of in the weeds of it, we make these kind of convoluted decisions about like the process of what happens. And which is totally typical. Like it's going to happen, and you adjust kind of as you move people through the process. But the goal should always be to help your client know exactly like what's coming. They should never guess or have to wonder about what to do next or what to expect, not after they complete a form, not in the next week, and throughout the entire process. They should feel confident knowing what is coming and what expectations they have of you and what expectations you have of them.
Can I admit something?
Mm-hmm.
I need to confess right now, especially since we're doing a part 2. I'm going to say I was really bad at that. Like, after doing this for a decade and reassessing, I was really bad at that. And I listened after our podcast episode, How to Never Lose a Customer Again, Never Lose a Client. So I went back, read that
That was
book.
such a good episode.
It was a good episode. I went. You should offer that episode today as the episode that you suggest people go back and
Well,
check
as
out.
you're talking, I'll find out the number of it.
Yes,
so
find out the number.
We can shout it out.
But I was really bad at that because I had gotten so used to my process. I was assuming that everybody just absolutely understood what was next, what they were supposed to do. That was the invention of Little Ren. I think I put a Little Ren thing in our group, in our own messaging group. And for those that don't know, Little Ren is me in an Olin Mills picture from 1978. High socks, a short set suit, full afro, and I look like a Peanuts character. But I started sending them. I really do. I started sending them Little Ren messages each day of the orientation week. Little Ren here, you just did this, and next you're going to do that. And what that's going to do is going to help you do this. And you're 5 days away from meeting Big Ren, right? I did that, and it was super wild. First, the clients loved it, but second, it was wildly successful in getting them prepared. You're probably underdoing it on clarity in your process. That's a really good place to dig deep and check. Because I was
the really important thing that you added there is you added the why. Right. We don't want to just ask people to do whatever because of we told them to. We need to give them a good reason and how it benefits them. So great ad.
These are really good, remember?
So that's episode 34 if you're looking for it afterwards. It's called Never Lose a Client Again. Episode 34. Before we go on to the next one, I'm going to give a shout out to our sponsor real quick. Ooh. So our official sponsor for this podcast is my favorite clothing company. They're called Unbound Merino. And for context, I actually bought this company's clothing. I became friends with the owners of the company. They started sending me free clothing, and now they're actually paying to sponsor the podcast. This is over like 4 years. Some days, because now they have an activewear line, every item of my clothing is Unbound. Right now, I'm wearing the underwear and the shirt. What I'm going to recommend, though, is that you check out their T-shirts more than anything else. Their crew neck or their V-neck. Merino wool is the best material ever. It's wicks away the sweat, doesn't smell, sits on you really nicely, and it looks good. It's plain. It doesn't have logos and shit all over it. I love it. So you can get 10% off at unboundmerino.com with the coupon code Goodman.
Goodman. 10%
Yeah, so
off the
coupon
first
code
order.
Goodman. It'll be in the caption. Unbound Merino. Shout out to them. Thank you for sponsoring the podcast. Thank you for allowing me to give Len a raise so he gets to buy more expensive cookies.
Yeah.
Yes.
And moving on. Injecting a shared interest.
So Ren will have a lot to add here probably as well. So but this is like the most fun part in my mind, right? And so injecting a shared interest. So let's say like we're talking about like astrological signs, right? And so I can absolutely see adding language and silly things based off of that. So like I am a Gemini. And so like I know you can't make a decision today and everything looks really interesting, but here's what we're going to do, right? And so that little bit of language or even kind of being silly like Mercury's in Gatorade, so like make sure that we do this and this
I'll tell you, man,
so
every time I'm not feeling good I look up to the sky and I see Mercury and Gatorade and I just don't know what to do with myself.
I know, exactly. So just adding those little kind of fun things. I did it on purpose. That was not a slip. That was on purpose, just for clarity's sake. Okay. Or like when we talked about, and I don't remember the coach's name, but that she's really into space, right? And so renaming the
Christina.
exercises. Yeah. So renaming the exercises. Just all of those little touches are really important. Or I went through, I would do playlists for my clients based and so here's a workout, here's a full playlist that I want you to listen to while going through it, because we had a shared like music style that we liked, and so I would create playlists for them, and so just those little things make a big difference.
The cool part about the playlist is now that song is connected to your training, so anytime they're going to hear that song in the future, whether they're working with you or not, they're going to think about you.
That's awesome. What a great observation.
There's great little triggers with that if you can like connect a song to you, you will have earned, because one of the things that I used to think about a lot more than I do now, when I was a better business person than I am now, because I just don't have as much interest in like the business side of it as I used to, because I'm good. But one of the things that I used to think about a lot is that in conventional advertising, you generally measure success per cost per impression, cost per 1,000 impressions, or cost per conversion. They call that CPC, cost per conversion, CPM, which is cost per 1,000 impressions. And what you do is you try to reduce your cost per impression as much as possible while maintaining the quality of the impression. Well, you can do that by paying to get an advertisement in front of somebody over and over and over again. But that, of course, gets quite costly. Or you can do that by inserting yourself into areas of that person's life or over the course of that person's day where they're going to think about you. And so one of the ways to do that is to get books in their house. Like I've read a lot of books, so I have a lot of books on people's shelves. Even if they're not reading those books, they will walk by their shelf and they'll think of me when they walk by their shelf. The same thing as giving out these water bottles. We've given out like whatever, 7,500, 10,000 of these water bottles at this point. Well, people will go work out in the gym, whether they bought the Online Trainer Academy 5 years ago. They're still thinking about us. And things like what you just said, Amber, I think is brilliant, because it's exactly that. If you can make a workout playlist and send it to your client, they might just continue to listen to that workout playlist if it's good, or just some of the songs on that playlist now are connected to you.
Yep.
And it's a way for you to essentially earn additional impressions because of their shared interest, which I think is really cool. We ready to move on to the next one?
Sure.
Okay. Next up, help build their identity.
So this one's interesting to me, because I mean, to me, this is our job as a coach. It's not the number on the scale. It's not the amount of pounds lifted, whatever, right? We're helping them become someone that they want to be. And that has a lot more to do than just workouts and nutrition, right? And so finding ways to help them realize and become that person. And we all know that's a holistic approach. So just as an example, right? So if a mom wants to lose weight, and I know a lot of moms, they feel really embarrassed to have their picture taken. So they end up taking pictures, but not being in them. And if they are in them, they are like just distraught. Like I just saw a post about this yesterday, and she just really hated the way that she looked. And so she
Which
wants to
can be
lose.
sad. Like I've
It's
heard stories that are
terrible.
really sad of
Yeah.
people that look back and they're just like, I don't even remember that I was at that wedding.
Right.
Or
Or
their kids don't get those
right.
memories. And that's,
As
oh
Yeah.
my God.
as a person who's lost a parent, I have very few pictures of myself and my mother, and it sucks. Moms out there
Mm-hmm.
listening, you got to get past this one. This makes me very sad. I'm sorry,
Yep.
Amber. Continue.
No, I mean it's true. And so if her goal is to get to a space where it's not so painful for her to be in pictures, right? Then our job is not just to help her physically get there, but to build her confidence in general. Right? So there are a ton of things that we can do, around that. So just random examples. So like notes from the universe. And so these are basically like there used to be a website. I actually think it's still around, but you can sign
It
up for
is.
notes from the universe and you get an email every day of like these kind of affirmations and like, hey, you are loved and like all of these things. The universe is looking out for you. Good things are coming. So creating your own version of that, super easy to do. And she may not like, she may even be really uncomfortable with it at first, but when we barrage our brain with positivity, eventually it starts to buy in a little bit.
Hmm.
Or creating a style board. Like I think we have clearly established that I am not a fashion person at all. But for those who are, right, like sending style boards for how her body is now and then what it might, what other kind of clothing would fit better as she's making her way through her process. And then like a goal style board, as she, reaches her goal. So just finding these little ways to boost her confidence now and in the process. So that way we're helping her actually become the person internally as well as externally.
I always like those challenges where there's a photo shoot at the end of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
That one
it's like a
costs
real
money though,
life
but
photo shoot.
yes.
Well, it would cost
Yes.
money, but it's also
Yeah.
all of your advertising and marketing and promotion. I mean, you don't
Mm-hmm.
need to share those pictures and tag your clients very much for more people to come to you for the next one. So, I mean, you can point to words in space and dance on the internet and spend all your time frustrated that you're not picking the right
Mm-hmm.
fucking trending music, or you can organize a photo shoot with your clients once they're done a period of training and share that and have your clients share it or tag them in it. And
And the
you're both
photographer's going to share it.
and they're both going to have the
Right.
same outcome of people being interested in your services. And one of them's going
Yep.
to cost a bit of money. The other one's going to have you dancing like a monkey on the internet for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I guess just make your choice of what you want to do. But I always like those, and they're not like overly sexualized photo shoots necessarily.
No. Yeah.
They're like empowerment shoots, right? You have a makeup artist show up, and you have a photographer at a gym, and you have all of these, I mean, women or men or whoever, and I think that's great. Gives you something, gives you a distinct date to work for, which gives you a distinct date to have people sign up by. It aligns your training with a set outcome. It has the motivation, and then it has that reward mechanism at the end of it. I think there's tremendous value in people showing up at the end of that. A certain type of person, not everybody would be into it, but a certain type of person showing up at the end of that and being like, "Fuck yeah, I did this." You know, I thought that at this stage of my life, feeling this way was a thing of the past.
Yep.
I was wrong. Thank you, Glow Mama Fitness LLC.
There you go.
You the best.
It's true.
Anything else on the identity part? You got a couple more ideas. You want to whip through them on the sheet?
Sure. So getting them to identify other reasons to feel confident and helping them point out, right? Because I think people in general aren't great about this, but especially I feel like moms really struggle with this of recognizing wins. So they see all of the things that went wrong, but like help them recognize the things that are going right and make them voice them and dig for them to help get them in the habit.
Okay.
And then creating a personalized digital journal. So again, looking at this from a free perspective, you could create a digital journal through like Canva or something like that and make it, personalized to them, whatever their interests are, and then email them a PDF and they can print it out and start, writing down thoughts and trying to get rid of some of those negative feelings. And bonus, you can let them burn it after, if it's fun. So
That's awesome.
I like that. I like the idea of burning it afterwards. It's like
I
burning your
figured you might.
mortgage. It's like burning your mortgage. Like when you finally paid it off, you have like a
Yep.
mortgage burning party or something. You do that
Mm-hmm.
with your workout journal or something.
There you go.
Okay, next up on ways to add value without spending any money. Surprise them. Amber, this is where you like the
Yeah,
queen.
this is probably this one's
Genius.
fun. um, joy often comes from kind of displacing expectations in a positive way, right? And that's kind of what humor does, right? It's like you're expecting a certain thing and then something different happens and it brings up a lot of joy as long as it's a positive, displacement.
It's like sending somebody a well-wishing message on Facebook on their birthday. It's like that's like the worst time to say something nice to somebody. Is the only time when 1,000 other people are saying it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. Well, I mean, and if you're going to do it differently. Like be really creative with it, right? So it's not that you can't do it, but then take the extra effort. Like, come on. But there's so many ways to surprise and delight someone, right? Like sending so like I like the digital postcard from your future self. Like I've done physical ones, but you can send a digital one just as well. Design it in Canva, and when they're having a low point or feel like their motivation is waning, right, create a postcard from their future self that helps to remind them of all the progress that they made, what they have to look forward to, all of that good stuff. And then like I know a lot of times coaches will send like form reviews or videos, with coaching stuff or whatever. But do it in a fun and personalized way. I think Adrian like is really great at this. And I can't pronounce his last name, sorry, but Adrian V. But like when he does videos and stuff, he's super silly and makes it a joy, to watch.
Adrian Paul Van Vleck.
Van Vleck, thank you. Yeah, I adore him. But there's just so much personality in it. And it doesn't always have to be silly. Like if that's not your personality to do that, that's fine. But finding a way to make it personalized to them makes all the difference. I mean, if you know that they're a big, Cardinals fan, then send something in Cardinals red. Just those little tiny things make all the difference.
I like the postcodes from your future self. I like the what you talked about a while ago, Amber, about how you used to send your clients postcodes. Like there was the client that was going to Italy, and you sent her a postcode about how good she was going to feel at the gelato shop when she met some Italian hunk.
Yep.
What was that about? That was good.
Yes. Which I loved her because she's like super Catholic, but like in an unconventional way. And so she was just she cursed just as bad as I did and just all of the stuff. So it was just, I could poke fun at her and just have a blast with it. She was great.
But what did you do?
Oh, I mean, I designed a postcard in Canva. And so like just found a few like different, like I knew where she was going in Italy and I don't remember now, but, found scenery and like gelato, stupid picture. And then like a hot, like Italian guy, from, I don't know, and put it on there and just wrote a letter on the, small thing on the back, hey, you're not here yet, but let me tell you, it's awesome. And the guy at the gelato shop is really cute, something like that. Just something silly. Just when she was having a low point.
Yeah, and you just send that to her in the mail. Like this is like a client who you might see otherwise in person.
Yeah.
But you'd still send them a code in the mail.
Yeah, I saw her in person all the time. Yeah.
I used to do that with clients that I worked with in the gym. I'd send them a postcode in the mail. And I'd see them in the gym 2 or 3 times a week.
Yep.
And I'd still send them a postcard and I'd be like, yo, just wanted to tell you that you smashed your deadlifts last week.
Yep.
And we'd sign it.
Exactly.
That's funny. I like the gelato shop. Or the other one that you used to say where you would choose the videos you'd send to clients based off of like what they found attractive.
Yep. I found them eye candy. They don't want to look at me. That's not fun. Yeah, so I know my people need some eye candy, so I sent them cute people.
Yep. This is why I don't do form videos on the internet, is I don't want to be that eye candy. You know what I'm saying?
Too many eye candy demands.
Too much objectification.
Yeah,
it's a lot to handle.
It's hard.
Oh my god.
It's hard being a 5'4" Jewish guy, let me tell you. Okay. Next up, save them time.
Yes, this is such a pet peeve of mine. So like, I feel like it's always really good to go through your own process and actually make yourself read everything, not skim it, read it, and then see how long it takes you. Um, and I feel like, and I'm guilty of this, right? I'm an overcomplicator by nature, right? And just think too much. And so I have to edit myself a lot. But make things easy for them to do. So something as simple as like if they send you a message like, hey, the other day, you sent a PDF of, a meal eating guide, whatever, and I can't find it. Instead of saying, hey, I sent it on, May 20th, look in your email for that, give them the damn link, right? Like, don't just make them go look for it. So those little things of embedding the link, even if you think that they know where it is, make it easy on them. Right. So like when a student messages me, and I know that they're already a member in our students and grads Facebook group, I still link the group because it's just easier. Instead of them having to go to the browser and then type it in, if I want them to do something, I make them click it from there and it saves them a step. Or instead of asking, if you're on a coaching call with them and you're due to book another one, instead of say, hey, great call, feel free to book another call for sometime next week. Do it with them on the call and you do it. Save them the step. Right. Just those little things, any opportunity to save them time, like just is a significant, they already have a lot of resistance going on through this process. And we want to remove as much of that as we can.
Well, even remember what we used to push to anybody who's doing customer service for us, Amber, was like, if somebody in the group, for example, in the Online Trainer Academy, we get people all of the time asking for, whether the Online Trainer Academy provides you CECs or CEUs. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if you just log into the digital portal, we have a PDF that we created that shows mm-hmm. how to claim CECs or CEUs to everybody. And what was happening was that whoever was running our communities, whoever was in charge of our communities, would say to the person like, "Oh yeah, no, it's there. Just log into your account and go here, and you'll download it." And I saw that one day, and I was just like, "No. Mm-mm. You save that PDF on your computer, and you send it to them."
Yep.
Like, just remove that step. That to me is the definition of customer service, of just adding value. Like, yeah, of course they could do it, but it takes you just as much time to say, here you go, as mm-hmm. it does to type out instructions for how they do it. Exactly. But for some reason, we stop ourselves from doing that a lot of the time, which I never really understood. Like, I did the same thing. I've got like this block from just going ahead and doing the thing for somebody. Mm-hmm. Next up, keep it simple.
So with this one, and again, I'm really guilty of this because, every coach, we're so excited, right? Like we're so excited to deliver value and to help them do things and to teach them all the things that we know. And we scare the crap out of our clients and overwhelm them with information because we're so excited. And so often more is not better, less is better, and being really focused about what we're helping them do. And so learning to edit what you share and when is an amazing skill to have that a lot of people, and myself included, struggle with.
Yeah. This is what I'm good at.
Yes. This is why we're a good team. I do all of here's all the nuance, and then you edit.
Yeah.
But this is also why Quick Coach is so great, right? Like, so the software that we have, Quick Coach, like instead of some other software where you have to download the app and then you have to log in and then you have to navigate to the workouts and then you have to find the workout that you're doing today on the calendar somewhere, right? It may have a lot of other things that they could do, but Quick Coach is literally you tap the link and you tap the workout. Literally, that's it. It removes, any kind of real resistance.
98% of the time, when a client's in the gym, they're already changed, they're ready to work out, they open up their app, they just want the workout for that day. Mm-hmm. Why are you making me click in 6 different places and remember my password to open up the damn workout?
Yep.
And we hear this from people being frustrated all the time. I mean, that's just one area where we just removed a lot of the friction. But to me, a great product or a great service, all that it does is it identifies the number one most important benefit or task that thing needs to accomplish. And it does that phenomenally well. And then it surrounds that with everything else that's important that just does it okay. And that's what we did in Quick Coach is we only really do one thing really well, but we do it better than anybody else on the planet, which is we allow you to build and deliver a program to a client. That's like, to me, not even the 80-20 of like fitness software and nutrition software. That's like the 98-2. And all of the other stuff, sure, we do a lot of it and we do it fine. Other platforms might do it a little bit better than us, but it doesn't really matter because we do it good enough. We just focused on the one area that we know is the most important. And to me, that's the key to simplicity, is the one area that you know is the most important. Continually improve that thing. Do that thing as well as you can possibly do. And then surround that with all of the other stuff that has to be there, but don't stress too much about making that other stuff perfect. Make it okay. That's the entire ethos behind Quick Coach. 100%. It's the entire ethos behind Quick Coach. And Quick Coach, for anybody who doesn't know, you can just get it at www.quickcoach.fit. It's free. It's software to work with your clients. So if you're using another tool and want a free one that's better than the one that you're paying for, use it. If you're not using anything, if you're using pen and paper, this is literally as easy as using pen and paper, but it has all the benefits of software in terms of professionalism and also streamlining your service. So use it. Why? You've heard me talk about this for so long.
We have to pound it into people's heads, though. They forget or don't follow through.
Oh my God, you've heard me talking about this for a long time. Just go to the goddamn website and register an account. Like
Southerners, close your ears.
It's so easy to do. Jesus Christ.
Oh, that was just gratuitous now.
I know. God damn. We're just going straight Bible Belt. God damn. Next up, Amber.
Yes.
Personalization.
Yes. So with this one, whenever you have an opportunity to personalize, I think it's worth doing. It takes a little bit of time and it means you have to like really listen to people, right? But oh my God, it's so much fun and people love it. Like if you ever need like a real dopamine hit, do something nice and unexpected for someone and make it personal. And when they react to it, it's the best high. Like it's such a good feeling. So as an example, right? Again, looking at this from a free perspective, if you're a running coach and you're helping someone run their first marathon and you happen to have, knowledge that they want to travel to Machu Picchu someday, right? As part of their programming, and it may be a template that you're operating from, which is fine, but you give them that copy and then you go in and you edit, right? And you add things, either fun places to check out along the way to Machu Picchu or fun facts about Machu Picchu to help just kind of ingrain that you're listening, but also to help, keep them motivated and going. And it gives them something to look forward to. So every new, workout or nutrition plan, whatever, has something that they don't know about that is fun to check out.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a lot. I think that's the key is personalization really just needs to be one or two little things. I like adding in just little like Easter eggs into it. I don't tell them that I'm doing it, but I'll add a little something in there that I want this reaction. I want somebody to be reading through it like, okay, onboarding. Like they kind of like sit back and they're just like,
what?
That's my dog's name. What the hell? And then they like take a picture of it and send it to you. That's kind of the reaction that I'm always going for is something somall. It doesn't take a long time. You don't need to brand the entire thing to them.
Just little pieces of it.
Just little fun pieces. And the song like the song playlist I think is a neat thing. If they tell you about whatever when your R&B obsession.
That's right. I'm an R&B singer. Two things that you just two things that you really want to be aware of when you're doing business, business consumer for sure. Number one, nobody likes any word or sound better than the spelling or sound of their name. Like
Yep.
it's just magic to hear your name or read it somewhere. And then number two, the bar is so low for listening to a consumer these days. Like this, let me
Yep.
just tell you, like if you say if someone says a sentence and you say, "Oh, so what you're saying is," and you just repeat that sentence back, you have put yourself in the 99th percentile of all
Right.
businesses across the world. It's really not super hard to just listen and reflect back what you heard. People will think you have superpowers. It's
Mm-hmm.
really very helpful. I as a man working with women as a population, I think they're 10% of all my enrollment calls. Probably I don't hear the phrase, "I just can't believe how well you listen." Like 90% of my enrollment calls, someone will literally verbally comment on the fact, "Hey, you listen really well. I don't think I've ever been this listened to by anybody. I can't believe how well you listen." That's sad, but it's also encouraging for the business owner out there, those listening, to know, man, if you just did that, you will clearly separate yourself from a lot of other people in your space. I love that tip about
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
personalizing.
you're looking for nuggets. You're looking for little
Yeah.
nuggets, right? Like names of loved ones or
Yes.
pets or
Mm-hmm.
um, reasons why or events upcoming or events in the past or I'm always looking for tokens. I used to study a lot of stuff about symbolism and tokens.
Mm-hmm.
Like my minor in college was anthropology, so it's always been something that's been really interesting to me. Is and one of the things that I started to do when I started to research a lot about social media back in 2012, 2013, 2014, as I was writing my book Bionomics, was I started to research like how does imagery, how do tokens, how do those types of things stay in our mind? And I started looking at a whole bunch of anthropological texts about it. And it's amazing how simple it is, like something that exists in your house that you see all of the time can connect you to this entire insane story of where that thing came from and elicit all of these emotions that are associated with the story. And meanwhile, the thing is some cheap little doll that you
Mm-hmm.
bought, made out of clay or whatever it is that you bought in Egypt on your trip to Egypt with your wife before she was your wife, and that was the first time that you told her that you loved her. Meanwhile, this doll is fucking made in China, but like you bought it in Egypt
Yep.
as a gift, and like you look at that thing and think about how many emotions that brings up and how much memory that brings up. Well, as you're listening to your clients, try to identify those types of symbols for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because then what you can do is then you can insert those symbols into conversations. You can insert those symbols into your training, into your programming, into your names. And it's incredibly powerful to be able to do stuff like that.
To build on something Ren said earlier, too, real quick about people's names, get their damn name right. If
Please.
Yes.
you don't know how to pronounce it, Google it. Literally, the
Or ask
first
them.
thing will come up. Yeah, that too, 100%. Figure it out. you know,
Yeah.
Because if you want to take a hit real quick, that's a good way to hurt that relationship right out the gate.
I mean, if somebody has a hard to pronounce name, they're used to people pronouncing it wrong, and they're probably not
Yes.
going to hold anything against you. But even the more value in
Mm-hmm.
pronouncing it right.
Yes.
So when we have for my mentorship, when somebody joins it, I get an introductory text from whoever did the student advisor who did the final call with the person who signed up the person, and that's part of the onboarding. And the onboarding is we have great onboarding for that, but the onboarding is very straightforward. And part of the onboarding is they make an introduction to me via a four-way text message. So to myself, to Jason, who is the program director, and then whoever their student success coach is. Could be one of a few people. In introduction. So there's 4 of us on the text message. And then what I'll do is I'll respond with a video, just welcoming them. Like wherever I am, I'll just shoot a quick video, say hi, say welcome. But what the student advisor will do, if it's somebody who has a name that's not super straightforward to pronounce, is they'll send me a separate text message with an audio file of how to pronounce the name. That's how important I think that this is. Mm-hmm. Is part of our process is quite literally, you will send me an audio note with how to pronounce this person's name so that I'm damn sure that I pronounce this person's name properly when we're doing a call. Oh, hi, Calvin.
Hi, buddy.
You just got home from school.
Aw.
Let's do one more.
Okay. I can add more. I didn't know how many we would have time for today, so I can add more if we need to.
Well, we'll do availability.
Okay.
You want to say hello?
Yes.
You can say hi really quick. I'm on my podcast.
Hi.
Hi, Darlene.
Hello. That was awesome.
He's so cute.
Okay? 10 minutes.
We need more Calvins.
Yeah, that's why we have a podcast.
I sometimes wish I was Calvin.
He's so excited. That's awesome.
Smile.
Let's
finish this one. So availability is the last one that we'll finish on today, and then we'll pick back up with this for the next episode.
Yep. So this can kind of come actually into 2 different angles. So one is whatever you want them to do, make it wildly easy for them to do the thing.
Yes.
Right.
Oh my God. Yes. Reduce the number of steps. Reduce the friction. Go through the process yourself, step by step, and say, how can I make this easier? How can I make this more clear? How can I reduce every single element of friction in this process humanly possible?
Yep. Exactly.
I interrupted you.
No, you're welcome to. You pay me. You can interrupt me all you want.
Yeah, I'm just super passionate about this one.
So one thing is, or as an example, so a lot of coaches like to do like form reviews. And so they'll ask their clients to submit video. And there's always like a lot of confusion about how to do this for some reason. And so they're like, well, I want them to upload it to like Google Drive or Dropbox or whatever. But like, why can't they just text it to you? Like if you need a different number, like if you don't want to share your personal number, you can get a number, a business line through like Google, whatever, Google phone, whatever, and just share that. Yeah. Thank you. And just share that instead if you want that degree of separation, but make it easy.
Here's my favorite way to do that. I don't even think you need a separate number. Use a messaging app that you only use with your clients. Mm-hmm. So like download Telegram, for example, and only use Telegram with your clients. And just turn off notifications on the damn thing. Mm-hmm. And that way you know that anytime you turn on Telegram, that's just how you communicate with your clients. You don't need a separate number. It could be the same number. They just message you through that messaging app.
To make that even easier, both Android and iPhone have the focus option. And so I can turn off who I want to hear from during different hours. So you wouldn't even necessarily have to download a separate app, because again, that friction potentially for clients having to download something extra, text it, and then choose when you're welcoming, or just, always have it off. But with the Focus app, the Focus feature, you can select who you want to hear from and when.
I don't know, man. The Focus thing just seems too complicated for me. I don't know how to use technology. I see the option there, but there's like a focus mode, there's like a sleep mode, there's like all these things. I'm like, I don't know how to do
I'll
this.
teach you.
I know it would only take me 2 minutes to figure out, but like that seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, I get it. I do the same thing with my HVAC system. You have to change out the filter. It's not hard, but man, I hate changing that thing.
Oh yeah, I know. We've got a whole bunch of alarms for our house. Well, nobody tells you when you move into a house just how much shit there is that has to like operate your house. Like
because nobody would buy one then.
There should be a class in school that's just like shit you have to do when you own a house.
Oh, man.
And they just give you a checklist, and they're like, you don't know why you're going to need this, but at one point in your life, you're going to be very happy you have this checklist.
There you go.
We have a service that we pay yearly, and basically all that they do is just like remind us to do stuff at our house. Like they're just an external brain. They're like, okay, turn your humidifier off. Okay, do this. And it's such a dumb thing to pay a couple $100 a month for, but what a great service.
Yep.
Saves time.
So availability, I mean, the key to all of this stuff with availability to me is how can you make it as easy as possible for them to do what they need to do? I mean, this is, again, like going back into Quick Coach. We keep talking about it, but this is so much of the ethos is there's no passwords with Quick Coach. As a coach, you verify your device with two-factor authentication. So you enter a new email, you get a 6-figure code back to your email. And by the way, that's way more secure than any password. In fact, basically everywhere now has a password plus that anyway, because the passwords are so unsecure.
Right.
The two-factor is basically the only security. So why do you need a password? Right? So you don't have a password. Once you've authenticated your device is authenticated. Now, anytime you open up the link, anytime you open up your app, if you downloaded the Coach app to your device, because there's a Coach app for free for the Android and the iOS system, it opens it right up. You don't need to log in anywhere, and it opens you up to where you left off. So if you were working on a client program or something like that and you got interrupted, you open the thing back up and it just takes you right back into what you were working on, to where you left off. It seems like such a minor thing, but that attention to detail in terms of the availability of what you do, it leads to so much more clarity and ease of use of a service. And when you think about the things that actually improve the quality of your life, like on a grander scale, like away from software, but on a grander scale, actually doing something that's like really big, let's say like you buy like a sports car, the enjoyment of that actually wears off within 7 to 10 days. And it's called the hedonic treadmill. If you want to look up the science behind this, the hedonic treadmill, the enjoyment of it wears off. But if you do something that affects how you, something that would bother you every day and you fix it, like if you've got like a trick knee or whatever and you fix it, or if you've got like a sliding door that's like really annoying and you finally fix that sliding door, actually that will bring you more enjoyment over time because of all of the minor little like positive moments than something grandiose like buying a fancy sports car. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's the same thing with delivering your service. I mean, it's hard for people to describe why they like using Quick Coach so much because it's not fancy. And then, of course, you know, you think about like, well, why don't you see like more like fitness business people talking about it? It's like, because it's free. And so we don't give you a commission to talk about it.
Right.
And the reason that they're promoting you the other software is because they get a big commission from promoting that software. So basically what they're saying is, we're going to promote to you a service that is less good for you, that costs you more money because it makes us money, instead of telling you about this thing that's free and does everything you need. That's a remarkable service because we don't make any money of it because it's free. So because it's free for you, we don't make money. And so we don't talk to you about it. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, it's hard to kind of overcome that. And I knew that was going to be an issue when we built Quick Coach. And that's why I took the very long-term approach of like, people are going to discover this on their own time. But when they do, they're going to really see how special it is.
We've gotten several posts recently, like in the last 2 days, people mentioning it. Yeah.
I don't even send you guys the ones that I get on Instagram, but
I'm sure.
I've gotten 3 on Instagram, 2 to my account, 1 on the Quick Coach account, in the last 2 days from people basically saying that like, this is incredible. And I don't know how you guys did this. Okay, let's cut it here, Amber. Nice job. This was fun. We should get you to talk more often.
Very good.
We're gonna take up some time, if you will, while I
Yeah,
I,
it's in. Don't you have a? You already gave the episode. Is that what you're looking for?
oh, is
In
that the
any.
one that we're going to use?
Oh, I thought that's
Mhm.
well. You said it, John. I don't know.
You want to say something and take up some time, or should I just talk about the episode?
No. Just talk about the episode.
All right. If you're looking for another episode to listen to right now on the Obvious Choice podcast, I'm going to recommend episode 34, Never Lose a Client Again. If you like this kind of approach, where we're talking about like the nuances and the small stuff about customer service that makes a big difference, but like the little things you don't often hear about because they're not big, they're not sexy. This talks a lot about the client experience, like 5 questions you should ask your clients on day one. Exactly these like very tactical things that, again, I mean, nobody's going to write like New York Times bestseller books about like the little things you do to improve your client experience. But at the end of the day, I think that they are just as, if not more important than a lot of the bigger fancy things. So that's episode number 34, Never Lose a Client Again. Scroll back wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, if you're enjoying listening to this podcast, please take a screenshot, tag me at It's Coach Goodman on Instagram, and you can tag Glenn and Amber as well. What are your Instagram tags? You guys, I know Amber, you don't use Instagram a ton, but you're on there.
AmberReynolds.me.
AmberReynolds.me, and Glenn, which one do you want us to use? You've got 2.
At Fitness Jones Training.
Okay, so tag us at It's Coach Goodman, at AmberReynolds.me, and at Fitness Jones Training. As always, I'm Jonathan Goodman. This is Amber Reynolds and
You are.
Renzel Jones.
Yeah, great pronunciation of my name.
Thank you for listening, guys. Talk soon.